What's up, Kansas City? I'm your host, Glenn Bryan Frizzell. This afternoon we are taping at the 18th and Vine Historic District at the Lincoln Building, home of Cascade Media Group. Today's special guest has been a lifelong public servant. Previously, he served in the Kansas City Area Transportation Authority, a position he held for over 23 years. Currently, he serves as Kansas City Councilman for the 1st District, an area which includes the eastern portion of Clay County, which is in Kansas City, Missouri. Ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have Councilman Dick Davis on the program with us today. How are you doing, Councilman Davis?
I'm doing just great, Glenn. Delighted to be here with you.
I'm delighted that you could join us. First question, recently the appointed task force voted in favor of a single new terminal at Kansas City International Airport. There are still advocates who say that we should do minor housekeeping repairs and keep KCI and its 3 terminal designs the way that it currently is. Councilman Davis, what do you think about this vote? Where do you stand with redesigning KCI, and what happens next?
I think the airport has a number of problems that need to be corrected. There are several ways we can get it done. The Mayor's Commission recommended a procedure, but what our council has done is we've taken 2 steps. We said, first and foremost, we're not going to approve anything until we have an agreement with the airlines, because if we do anything, it's going to be paid for with airport revenues, by the revenues generated by the airlines. So until they're on board and saying we're ready to stay here for several years and pay the rents, ready to make this plan work, we're not going to do anything. Second, we've said, because there's so much public concern and so much public support for the existing terminal, we said we won't do anything without a vote of the people, anything that would be a major restructuring. So, so from the council's perspective, we're waiting for that agreement with the airlines. When that occurs, we will consider that and determine when and where to put the public vote on, and the people will make the final decision.
Thank you for clearing the air on that for us. Councilman Davis, we know that you've worked with KCATA for about 23 years, and you probably have some thoughts about 2 upcoming transportation projects, the Streetcar Initiative and Commuter Rail. About 2 weeks ago, Councilman Davis, we talked to Mayor James about the Streetcar Initiative. What are your thoughts about the streetcar that will be designed to connect residents to easy, affordable public transportation? Why do we need buses plus a streetcar?
I think the streetcar is a wonderful idea. I'm glad we've finally found a way to do it. I literally spend most of my time in my 23 years at ATA encouraging the same thing. We just couldn't get it accomplished. We're the largest city in the United States without a rail transportation system now. And the beauty of rail is rail tends to encourage development. It gives you a tool that allows our urban core to compete with suburbia to get its share of development. And I think that's one of the major issues in our metropolitan area. We cannot keep on developing at the urban fringe, all the way to Oklahoma. We've got to find a way so that we're creating inducements so that our urban core redevelops, gets its share of the growth the area has. I don't know of a tool available to urban governments that does that more than rail transit.
Thank you. What happened to light rail?
Streetcar is a light rail. It is one of many light rail technologies, but all light rail means is it's a vehicle operating on tracks at grade, which means it's not in a tunnel, it's not in an elevated structure. It's at grade really reduces your cost because you're not tunneling or building an overhead structure. It also means you're getting your power from above, which means that people can walk on the tracks. Say by contrast, heavy rail means a subway, and you can't walk across the tracks, you get electrocuted. So this is the light rail is the inexpensive option to heavy rail. What heavy rail operates in Washington and New York and Chicago, most of the bigger cities. Light rail is considered the less expensive option for the smaller large cities.
Well, Councilman Davis, I'm excited. I'm learning here. Do you have any comments on commuter rail? We had County Exec Michael Sanders on. He talked about that being a project that would connect Kansas City to eastern communities.
I'm hoping that he accomplishes it. I think what commuter rail does is it primarily moves people from suburbia to the urban core. So it reinforces Kansas City as a job center. It helps us retain jobs in the urban core. It also will be a feeder to the streetcar, and so I think it's a big step in the right direction. I hope it's successful.
Councilman Davis, can you tell us a little bit about your background? You grew up in New England.
I'm a native of Providence, Rhode Island. After high school, I joined the Air Force. They sent me to Little Rock, Arkansas, where I spent the great majority of my time volunteering for overseas duty every year, but never getting it. So I ended up spending over 3 years in Little Rock, where I met my wife. I then, upon my discharge, I got a job driving a cab and worked my way through college in Little Rock. So while in college, I went to work for an agency in Little Rock that is similar to our Mid-America Regional Council. When I obtained my degree, they gave me a full-time position, and a couple of years later had an opportunity to move to Kansas City. And I came here in '66 working for an agency called Metroplan. Metroplan is today's Mark. Went to work for that agency in '66. It was merged with another to create Mark in 1972, and I was the first director of the Mid-America Regional Council. So I worked there for 5 years before I moved to the ATA.
Wow, and you were, of course, with KCATA for over 23 years.
No, 23 years to the day.
23 years to the day,
To the
okay.
day.
And what projects do you fondly recall working for with KCATA?
What we were struggling with, and ATA continues to struggle with, is the suburbanization of Kansas City. So ATA's market, its best market is Truist, Prospect, Main Street, and with the out-migration of population, it was faced with a declining market. So the name of the game was just keeping it alive, helping it to survive, and being able to keep fares low. And I think we achieved that. I felt like that even though our market was declining, we delivered a quality product with a bus that was clean, well maintained, with a driver that was a professional, and I think ATA continues to do that to this day.
Now, Councilman Davis, I'd like to ask you a question about Brown versus Board of Education. We recently acknowledged the 60th anniversary of the legislation that ended segregation in our schools, but many African Americans and other races report discrimination and segregation in other fields. Mr. Davis, comment on the progress of America as a country in racial relations since you've been alive, and do you see any changes that still need to be made?
Comment. Let's see. I think I became most aware of it as the manager of the Area Transportation Authority, and I became a great advocate of disadvantaged business enterprise as a tool to help minority vendors. I became a great believer in affirmative action because one of the things I saw is that to get a job as an entry-level bus driver, we only hire part-time applicants. Pays well. I think it pays today entry salaries in the upper teens, like $16, $17 an hour. But by union contract, the entry-level job can't be more than 25 hours a week. The basic qualification is high school degree, good driving record. That job, we found almost an absence of white applicants. We also found a high number of black applicants, always a demand for that particular job. What did it tell me? Despite all of our efforts in the United States, it was still much easier for the majority high school graduate to find good employment and move up. It was more difficult for the black applicants, and made me keenly aware of it, and it also made me feel very comfortable being a strong advocate for the continuation of affirmative action efforts.
That's interesting, Councilman Davis. Tell us a little bit about high schools and education in District 1. Yesterday, Governor Jay Nixon announced $24.6 million in cuts to Missouri public schools due to declining state revenues, Councilman Davis, from lottery sales and casino taxes. Do you yet know about these cuts and how they will affect the public schools in District 1?
Well, the City Council is not in the school district business, but what I think we're fortunate with in Kansas City, Missouri, is an absolutely outstanding mayor. I didn't even know Mayor James until 30 days before we were elected, but it didn't take me long to say we've got a leader that we need, and I look to him more than anybody else for leadership because he knows that the problems we have with the Kansas City, Missouri School District are unacceptable. He knows that until we find a way to create an environment where people have perception that the Kansas City School District can provide you with a quality education, we're never going to turn around the urban core. So I'm not sure what the answer is. I do know that I disagree with what the state is doing in cutting taxes. I think that the state's major responsibility is to provide a high-quality educational system. I wish they could resolve the transfer issue. They haven't satisfactorily done that yet. So I look to the state and say, good education is one of your primary responsibilities, and you need to do better.
Councilman Davis, you were involved in many civic organizations. Would you care to comment on your involvement?
Well, I'm old, which means I've been there. I've been, you name it, I've been there. I first lived in Gladstone. I don't know whether you know it, but I was on the City Council of Gladstone, Mayor of Gladstone, and on several civic activities north of the river. When I retired from ATA, I moved to Kansas City because I wanted to get more involved in those civic activities, and I was appointed to the Port Authority, served on that, appointed to Northland Neighborhoods, a great advocate for neighborhoods north of the river, and then when people encouraged me to run for the city council, I jumped at it because I still live in the suburbs, but I think the great challenge in our metropolitan area is to make sure that Kansas City, Missouri grows and thrives. It absolutely must stop, do something about the huge inventory of abandoned houses in the urban core. It must help to find ways to do something about our school district, as we discussed. It must find a way to build a good transit system. There are so many issues, and I think that in my senior years, it's a delight to be in a position where that you can work on these great issues for the urban area.
Well, Councilman Davis, you seem real adamant about keeping Kansas City as a thriving community, promoting that aspect of Kansas City. Can you tell us a little bit about Buses for Baseball?
Buses for Baseball, gosh, that goes way back. But I'm a Royal Lancer, have been for forever. But one of the things we achieved at ATA is they were able to get volunteer bus drivers to drive charities to Royal games. And what we'd do is we'd have a bus available that would say go to a local church. By the way, the charities were picked by the bus drivers, pick up a load of 40 people and take them to a Royals game.
Wow.
We started in Kansas City and it spread to some other cities, and I got out of it about 10 years ago because the Major League Baseball Players Trust for Children, which I served on, was able to get a major corporate donor to start the chartering buses to continue it. So I think it's still going on nationally. I haven't been involved in years, but I was very proud to start it. I thought it was a great opportunity to find a way to get poor kids to go to baseball games.
So, Councilman Davis, this is our first time having you on What's Up Kansas City. What should we know about what's going on, what's up in the Northland community?
Well, the Northland community is an interesting one. The area between the river and Vivian Road is one that I have great concern about because it was primarily developed right after World War II. And what it has is, and it was developed before it was incorporated into Kansas City, Missouri. So we didn't have the city standards that we have in the rest of the city. So if you go just across the river, you'll find many neighborhoods with no curbs and gutters, no sidewalks, and houses that were built literally to minimum standards because you didn't have city standards. So you'll see a driveway that's just car tracks. I think that the major thing we need to do north of the river is find a way so that other area mellows rather than decays. We can't afford to have that area become another major blighted area in the city that creates problems for our next generation.
Now, Councilman Davis, earlier this week we had Councilman Sharp on. He talked to us about revitalization. Cerner Group is coming in, taking over the area where the old Bannister Mall is, hopefully provide economic development, economic jobs, the whole package for that community. Can we talk about economic development for the Northland? Are you involved in any projects to?
Well, we're fortunate
jobs
to have the home of Hunt Midwest north of the river, and Hunt Midwest is doing a great job in taking advantage of the Ford plant expansion. The Ford plant, by the way, is outside Kansas City, Missouri. It's in Claycomo, but it's probably the Ford plant is probably the largest employer of residents in Kansas City North. So its growth has been wonderful for the entire metropolitan area, for Kansas City, Missouri in particular, because Hunt Midwest has been attracting firm after firm that is suppliers for the Ford plant, and it's been a major area of growth. The other area of growth we have in the Northland is the airport itself, and the airport has done a wonderful job in attracting industries that need to be near a major airport. In fact, 10 years ago we were lamenting the loss of American from the overhaul base. We now have a commitment for jobs at the overhaul base that will exceed what we had when America closed, which I think is great news. It's the airport is I think has been and will continue to be a very important economic resource. I'm so glad it's in the city limits of Kansas City, Missouri, where we can take advantage of those opportunities.
That is definitely a bonus. Councilman Davis, do you have any challenges? Are there any challenges to your job as councilman of the 1st District?
I think the great challenge is just keeping up on all of the issues that you need to stay attuned to, and that's difficult. I'm fortunate. I've spent my entire career in city government, so I understand how city government works. I enjoy it. You're great challenges, but what I turn around and say opportunities. I have never seen a city council that work better together than this one. We have 13 people, the mayor and 12 councilmen, that essentially like each other. When you have that kind of environment, it just gives you a great opportunity to get things done. And the last 3 years have been years of real progress and opportunity for the city. Getting the tax revisions that we did that allowed us to spend more money on street maintenance and public works has been a major change. It's been a remarkable 3 years, and challenges, yes. Opportunities, yes.
Now, we're a mobile company. We like to connect our viewers to their mobile devices. Do you keep up with Facebook, Twitter? Do you use that at all in communicating with your constituents?
Well, I tell you what they talk about in City Hall. They say Councilman Davis is so old he still uses a paper calendar.
No.
So Councilman Davis is always in catch-up mode, trying to figure out how this works. I was joking with somebody today. I said I'm just going to have to go home and tell the wife we've got to do something about that rotary telephone. It's just time to change.
Wow, rotary telephone.
I don't really have one, but
I'm laughing. Councilman Davis, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Do you have any final words?
I want you to show you I do have my cell phone. I do have my calendar on it as well, so I'm not that bad. But I'd say if you're going to rate this council and say who rate 1 to 13 in terms of being up to speed on this, I'd probably rate number 13.
13, okay. Anything else?
No, delighted to be here. Thanks for the interview.
Councilman Davis, we are glad that you could join us here today. Check out more video online at www.whatsupkansascity.net. Did I add the extra W there? Councilman Davis, we enjoyed talking to him. He, again, is the councilman of the 1st District area, which includes all of Clay County that is in the eastern part of Kansas City. I said that.
You did say that.
Wishy-washy.
You forgot to say that I'm running for re-election.
And he's running for re-election. Okay. Check out more video online. Remember, the sky is the limit. Aim high, shoot for the moon. If you miss, at the very least, you would have landed among the stars. Take care. Until next time.
CMG wants you to always remember, the victory we call success goes to the best prepared. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Thank